Alright guys, so this is the second time I'm trying to shoot this video. My camera died in the middle of the last one, then deleted the file. But anyway, back on this Bluetooth speaker project. I'm going to call this version 2.0. So I'll start with the case. I actually peeled the wood veneer off because it was starting to chip and flake, and I actually sanded this and painted it black, and it actually turned out really good. That's really all I did to the case, was just the painting, and I did tape off the chrome piece because I want to keep that. The only thing I'm going to do to the outside of the case from here out is, besides assemble it, is get some maybe little rubber feet. But the front panels, same speakers. Most of the components are the same. That one front panel I had was jagged and had trouble cutting it straight, so I actually 3D printed these. I designed these to have the speakers, and they fit in here. Now, unfortunately, my printer wasn't big enough to do a whole one. But as you can see, they're very shiny because I printed, this side was the side on the bed, if you know anything about 3D printing, and I have a glass bed, so it's real smooth. I also added some cutouts for these LEDs, VU meters, whatever you want to call them. But my printer wasn't big enough to do one, so I did two pieces, and they all, screw together. So let's go into the inside. I'll kind of show you how I wired some things up. So let's start here at this mess of wires, which is actually a lot less messy than the old one. So and I used lots of pieces of scrap wire, so you're gonna have a bunch of splices and stuff, but it works. I tested it already. So power comes in here through these two wires from the power adapter. The red wire is power, and that goes down to this switch here, and that switch then goes from the yellow. We'll follow that back down here. It goes into another red one, and it goes into a couple things here. Here's the main power that goes to the amplifier. It comes out of this butt connector. That's 19, I think it does up to like 19 volts, this is 18.5, so this adapter I have. And then it goes into this 5 volt converter. It goes from 12 to 5, and that power comes out of here, and it's kind of a mess, but it goes into the Bluetooth, this is what picks up the Bluetooth from whatever device, and it also powers this device. Now this is a step down or step up converter from 5 volts, and it goes up to about 10.5, and I'll explain that in a second. The reason this says it'll do 24 volts input, so I originally wired it directly to the power source, like here where these come in from the switch, but it actually started smoking. So what I did was go to I had a spare, luckily, so I powered those from the 5 volt, and it goes up to 10. Those wires go, the blue ones are ground, white is positive. They go up to the power for the VU meter, which to get the lights to go the same way, I had to mount them in different directions. So this one's up here, and this one's down here. Now from there, I'll kind of go into that next. The output of the Bluetooth. Now it goes into a splitter, and the one splitter goes into the amp right there, which is, it's kind of hard to see. So that's how the amp gets its audio from the Bluetooth. And the other one from the splitter goes into this wire here. It goes into these. So one's the right side. Now we're looking at this backwards. So this is the right side, and this is the left. Now the left one, the case was hitting the plug, so I soldered a 3-pin connector on the bottom for the audio and just pulled the 3rd pin out. So from the amp, we got, basically your 4 wires out. Now what I did with the speakers, because this amp requires 8 ohms, and these speakers are 4 ohms. So what I did was, back up a little bit here, I pulled the ground from each one, from the amp right to the ground in both speakers. And this one's over here, just this black wire runs through. And the positive, now these are mounted in here, so if I want to remove the speakers, I have to unscrew them from the amp. I did the sub a little bit different, but they're basically on the same panel, so they shouldn't need to be removed. So the power goes from the amp, and we'll just use this one for example, they're the same, through this 4 ohm resistor, they're wired in series, and back into the speaker. So that makes this speaker and this speaker each 8 ohms. The sub is the same thing, but that is a separate piece, and so the sub has to be able to be removed. So what I did was, is the sub on the back panel. The inputs are here, and they are 4 ohms. Once again, we need 8, so we go through this. Now these are 25 watts. The speaker puts out, I think, 15 to each front speaker, so that's fine. The rear one's 30, so I got 100 watt because that was the next size up. But anyway, the ground just goes across and goes into the ground on this extra terminal that I got. Actually for a set of car speakers I was repairing, but they came in a pack of like 4 or 5. But I had a spare either way. So the ground goes across here. It's hot glued down. Soldered to this ground here, and you have to excuse my soldering, I'm not very good at it, just enough to get by. And then the positive goes off of here, through here, and into the positive on this side. Now what that does is makes this woofer 8 ohms. It's actually, I voltmetered it, it was actually like 8.2. They're all around, like, I think it was 8.2 to 8.3, something like that. But it's well within range. So what I'm going to do is this plate's going to sit inside here on the inside. So I'm going to tape it down. I'm going to put this back together, and we're going to kind of run through it. So it's basically going to sound the same, but I just neatened up some of the wires, and I added the VU meters, and I made a new front panel that looks a little bit cleaner because I got really lucky with my measuring, and it fits perfect. The only issue I had was the speakers had to be sanded down a little bit where they fit in the front because they were real snug. But let's go ahead and throw this together, and we'll give it a test drive. Alright, now that we've kind of gone over how the radio is put together, and yeah, at some point I do plan on kind of maybe painting and primering or filling in these holes with something, but they're actually smooth, they just make lines, but 3D printing isn't perfect. But anyway, I did have to make one change when I tried to actually put it back together. The subwoofer, the magnet was actually hitting those resistors that are on the back of the front speakers. So what I did was I had these rings for a car speaker that they wound up not fitting, so I had a set of them. So what I did was I screwed them in, and I actually glued this one down because this back plate was actually broken. So that's gluing it all together, and that's just a mark I had to line everything back up. But I do have a song queued up on my Echo Dot, which is what this connects to, is my Echo Dot usually, and it plays, usually that's what I listen to when I cook dinner, things like that, which is mainly what this was for, is a kitchen radio. So let me turn it on, and we do have the VU meters, so I have to let them recenter. Okay, so I got this song queued up, so let's go ahead and do a quick sound. So I'll turn this bass off first. Alexa, resume. Oh, she's going to be difficult. Oh, there we go. Turn the light off so we can see those little meters a little better. Might be too dark. Get some light in here. Turn the subwoofer on, which I'm not sure how well my phone's going to pick that up. Let's see how the subwoofer is working. So it doesn't give super deep bass, but it does, you know. Because if you turn it off, you just have the 4 inches, and there's not a whole lot there at all. So there it goes, guys. Let's turn this off real quick. That way I don't have to talk over the radio. But that's pretty much where I'm going to leave the Bluetooth speaker build for now. I'm really happy with how these front panels turned out, and everything works pretty good so far. The only thing I might do is try and make these front pieces look a little bit nicer, but maybe that's somewhere down the road. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching.